Hi there. Welcome to Lincoln Table, you naughty little imps.
Are we on air?
Lincoln Tablers.
Yes, welcome.
We're here in Lincoln at the table.
Yes.
We're in our virtual studio again, Mark.
I'm not actually at my table, I'm actually at my desk.
Yeah, me too, actually. I'll say that. It sounds more professional, doesn't it?
Not that I know how to use this pad on my desk.
I'm actually naked from the waist down, but no one can see me because I'm not in the studio. I'm all good. Just put a nice shirt on and wet my hair, look.
I'm wearing a girl's skirt. No, I'm not really. I'm not. No, I'm not. Don't troll me.
Yeah, they're not girl skirts anymore, Mark. It's 2020.
It is, yeah. It's is it gender neutral?
Yeah, gender fluid. Yeah.
Yeah, gender fucking whatever.
I'll tell you, talking about clothes, I was just about to mention to you, I've had to wear a dark top today because I had a little blue top on. It looked like I had little bouncy little boobies. I was making myself excited watching it back. I thought, who's that there?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, mate. Can you give me the make of that top? Because I could do one. It might make mine look a bit smaller.
Oh, God. Yeah,
I think my problem is I need to work out more. So, yes.
Get you anywhere, mate. You just end up aching, don't you?
As you get older, it's hard. It's harder, mate. It really is. Keep sticking at it. How old are you, mate? 30?
Yeah, 30.
Keep sticking at it, mate. I wish I had done. It's.
I'll tell you what, though. I don't know how you've got on with it, but we're going to try and have a relatively sugar-free month. Other than the alcohol, obviously. Can't go without alcohol. It'd be weird. Yeah. But yeah, I've gone, first 2 days have gone well. No chocolate, no cakes, no biscuits, no like added sauce or no added. Tried to have no added sugar. See how I feel after a month. Might be a shambles.
Yeah. Well, can I be honest with you, mate? I can't lie. I can't lie because people all.
Fucking hell, you've been to the bakery, haven't you? You've been somewhere this week.
I failed, mate. I had 2 chocolate biscuits.
That's why you've got a hoodie on today, isn't it? You're ashamed of yourself. You're ashamed of
yourself, yeah. I did. That's it.
I'll tell you now, every time I catch you out eating any sort of chocolate or cakes, you're going to get fat shamed live on Lincoln Table.
I know.
Well,
At least I'm being honest.
Actually, I can't fat shame you, can I? Because it's not PC.
Do you know what, Matt? I don't care. Mate, I've got broad shoulders. Call me what you like.
God, I'll tell you now. I was thinking about it earlier. You mentioned it to me earlier when we was chatting as well. Yeah. If I was Neo now and I was facing what's his name, the geezer's name,
the pill.
Yeah, and I was faced with them 2 pills. I'd say I'll have one of each, please. I'll take them both and see where I end up. Anyway, it's got to be better. It's got to be better in this situation at the minute, hasn't it?
We touched up on that, didn't we, a few weeks ago about the Matrix, and I do believe, mate, a lot of it's like in fiction. There's been a lot of books written over the years, and with the Matrix, how a lot of things have come true to fruition, and it's quite scary when you look at it.
So you almost think fictional readers they've almost got a that much of an obscure view on reality. It's almost like it almost comes true, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, they a lot of these authors, I mean, especially Huxley, I'm not so sure about George Orwell, but there was a society called the Fabian Society that was based in the UK.
Heard of this, yeah.
And it was all to do with what was going on in the world events, and it was some sort of offshoot of the Labour Party.
All right.
I'll have to do my research on it. I read something a long time ago, but
what is this Fabian Society? Is in the conspiracy world, or is it like open documents? Something you can refer?
Oh, yeah, it's something you can Google. It exists. It exists.
Yeah.
I don't think it exists now, but
Mm.
it was all minds. It's like collective minds getting together.
Yeah.
I
tell you what, right? This is one thing that really gets me. I might be going down a different channel here, but
yeah,
there seems to be a lot of, especially on the media just lately, there seems to be a lot of emphasis on conspiracy theories. Like, like people, it's almost like to believe in any sort of conspiracy theories, they put everything into one conspiracy theory. So when on the media, when they announce a conspiracy theory, they're always like the most fucking wackiest conspiracy theories you've ever heard of. Even ones that the likes of David Icke would turn his nose up. You know what I mean? They're too far out. So it kind of like umbrellas conspiracy theories into this one ridiculous notion that if you believe any of them, you're all tarred with the same brush. But so you could honestly tell real stories from the past, from history, that are, you can get the documents. There's I want to use an example. Say there was operation. It was a CIA operation in the 60s or the 70s. I think it was the 60s, called Operation Midnight. You might know about this one, Operation Midnight something or other. And what it was, the CIA, I think it was in the Cold War. So they knew about China and Russia that would have been experimenting on mind control. So what they wanted to do is they wanted to do like mass mind control experiments. And
have you MK Ultra?
Yeah, well, it was CIA, MK Ultra. Yeah. So what they did was they basically targeted like the Wall Street guys. They're all crazy Wall Street guys. And what they did was every night when they were leaving Wall Street, they were going to the brothels or to the strip clubs or whatever. So they knew that they didn't want anybody to know that they were in these brothels / strip clubs or wherever they were, these whorehouses, whatever. So they knew that they were a good target. So what they were doing is while they were in there, they were paying the hookers like so much money extra to be in on it, and they were just dosing them up with acid, LSD, and just basically not like experimenting on them, seeing what they remember, seeing how they react to like the power of suggestion and stuff while they're out the head on acid. If you said this story now that our government were doing this, people would think you were fucking mental. You know what I mean? This is what I'm saying. This is just a small example of how.
Well, a lot of stuff like that, mate, is MK Ultra is well documented.
Yeah.
Right. The CIA did numerous experiments on people. They subjected them to electric shock therapy.
Exactly.
They were giving them acid. They were continuously playing recordings as suggestive recordings, so they could use trigger words for these people to get them to bend to their will. And that's where, this is another thing, talking about films, again, fiction, Born Identity. They were all not MK Ultra, but a similar sort of thing. And if you Google MK Ultra, that's what they say. It's what it has influenced is films like The Born Identity.
Yeah.
You send somebody. I mean, their idea was to plant an agent anywhere, right? Have them assume an identity, not even know they were working for the government. They'd been that brainwashed.
Yeah.
They would plant them in like an everyday sort of job.
Yeah, job.
Yeah. And then they would get sent a trigger word. Boom. That was it. And that was and they would conform to
off that. Yeah, whatever they'd been programmed to do.
Yeah.
But like you see some of these like mind programming programs. You see some of these in everyday life. Like these advertising
programs, TV programs, program.
Yeah, they are. Like you see some of these everyday advertisers now. They've got this sort of knowledge via this sort of stuff of how to like. I once worked at a building. Obviously, I've got nothing to do with it because I just did some plumbing at a building. But It was somewhere in Nottingham. I don't know the name of the company. I won't like to say it anyway, but their company was like suggestive advertising. So their whole company was how to persuade people's minds into buying something that they didn't want, basically. Like Coca-Cola did it. Even McDonald's, everybody with the most amount of money will use suggestive programming in all their adverts. Even I once read somewhere about the iPhone.
Yeah.
When you buy an iPhone, it's in a box, and everything about the iPhone box was designed to give you maximum endorphins out of that box. So even the time it takes you to break the seal and pull it open.
Yeah.
And when it pulls open, that suction of it, everything designed in it has been designed for your mind to react to it. It's all clever stuff, right?
That's how they started selling cigarettes. They used to send female models out. I mean, it was in the early 20th century, out onto the streets, smoking cigarettes. So, like, you get a beautiful woman on the street, walking down, tall, slim, and she was smoking a cigarette, and it looked attractive. Yeah. So it would send that message to, that looks like it's always about doing the thing. Yeah. And then people getting hooked on nicotine, and because it looked cool. I mean, you were at school, kids, it was a cool thing to do.
I smoked towards the end of school. I had a brief couple of years of it, which was obviously, now looking back, was the worst decision of my life. But at the time,
But you looking at, they don't do it in movies now because it's not cool. You looking at all the early James Bond films, old Sean Connery sat there at a card table with a cigarette in his mouth, and the way he holds it and the way it's just and playing. But they don't do that because it's like, obviously they know it's bad for everybody's health, so they're steering.
Yeah, well, now everybody knows it's bad for your health. They always knew it was bad for your health.
Yeah, they did back then. Yeah,
this is what with conspiracies. I think it's a good chat to have about conspiracies. Yeah. I think it's a very in thing at the minute, but this is why with me, I do try and steer away from it, because there's so you ask anybody, even people who are into conspiracies, there's so many wormholes and there's so much sometimes the people who promote conspiracy theories are the people that literally don't do anything in life. So they've got a lot of time on their hands to make a good case. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They don't.
Yeah. So you've got to really look hard at what you're looking at. You know what I mean? You've got to pick what you're looking at. And if you are interested in it, I am quite interested in these 50s, 60s, 70s, old CIA, FBI little cover-ups and stuff. Stuff that's actually you can physically go and see the official documents. Of what went on in the past, because they've had to release them. It's something like 7 years or something in it. Is it 7 years? Like something to do with the Secrecy Act. After 7 years or something, you have to release these sort of papers.
No, mate. I think it's a bit longer than that. It's something like that. Yeah. But going back to one thing that I never knew, and a mutual friend of ours put me onto this, was the Gulf of Tonkin incident. I think that's in Vietnam, where it was to try and get America's involvement in the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
And apparently, Vietnam had sunk an American ship, and then that was to give in. Apparently, that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
It was all a false flag smoking gun.
Yeah.
Guess who was involved in that? Jim Morrison's dad from The Doors.
Really?
He was an actor on the ship, apparently. Oh. Yeah. And you look at Jim Morrison, how opposite he was to his dad. And apparently he was very close. Maybe
that's why. Maybe because he knew all this shit beforehand.
Yeah.
But this is what I mean. This is why I would never write things off straight away without a good bit of information. This is what this. We did the Social Dilemma recap, didn't we? We did our review on it. But this is. I said this last week. I've watched the full podcast with Joe Rogan with the Tristan. I don't know his surname.
Watch
Say,
it.
yeah. Anyway, he really got into depth on just how much influence this social media is having. So this is what I'm saying about conspiracy theories. These are live conspiracies. These are things that are going on. They're not conspiracy theories. They're conspiracies. They are all the countries conspiring against other countries. You know, like this is like the whole Russiagate, the whole thing with Russia rigging the elections. I think on the face of it, if you're just somebody that's just taken the headline and jumped on it, if you think Russia's helped or Russia's rigged the election so that Donald Trump was the president or whatever, on the face of it, you think, I don't know what you would think. You would have thought that Russia had written a load of ballot papers and forced their way into the elections. But what's actually happened is the internet is just so powerful that places like Facebook that have hundreds of millions and millions of people on it, Russia, not as a country, you know, just as individual agents, they can go to Facebook with a profile of a certain person. Say a certain person may be ultra right wing, there might be KKK or whatever, or there might be ultra left wing and you know be way left. These individuals can then pay Facebook, you know, a lot of money, millions of pounds for say 100,000 accounts of a select sort of person that they want to influence. You know, so they can buy this data of these people.
Data's the most
exactly. They can buy the data of these individuals, of these 100,000 individuals, more than one person doing this, more than one agency doing this across different countries, to influence a population of a country to do a certain thing. You know, this is what they were saying on this program about Myanmar. Myanmar was a country that was basically everybody who bought a phone was kind of forced to download Facebook. They downloaded Facebook on in the shop. So everybody who bought a phone in Myanmar, they then had Facebook. So Facebook was their main news outlet. So what had happened is their own government conspired against the Muslim minority in that country, and made everybody believe that these Muslims were committing crimes that they'd never committed, and that they were just, you know, they weren't nice people. It was an ethnic cleanse conspired by their own government, and hundreds of thousands of people got killed. You know what I mean? Because they were Muslims, because of their religion. You know, and to say things like that, what makes the UK or the US or any other Western country for that matter any different to any of these other places?
We're not, mate. We're not.
We're not.
We're not different at all, mate. We just hide behind smoke and mirrors, and we make out that we're whiter than white, and we're not, mate. You look at all the atrocities we've caused in the past, all the invasions, all the
exactly. So when your eyes are slightly awake to certain things and you hear things in the past, and then for you to say that you're not quite sure about things like COVID-19, okay. It's a real thing. We keep saying this over and over again. I can't take this away from everybody. We both know. I know somebody that's had somebody that's passed away. You know, I'm not saying this, but when you question it as being as black and white as they're making out that it is, you know, people almost make you out to be a freaky, weirdo conspiracy theorist. Oh, you're not going to have the
or a denier.
Yeah, or a denier. You're not going to have the vaccine because you're an anti-vaxxer. You know, it's the sort of thing that really gets my back up, because you only have to look back a little bit in history to read a few books, read a few released documents that our own government and the US government have released in the past about different situations. Not this situation entirely. You know, I could be completely wrong in my thoughts and theories. I'm just saying I question things because, you know, I'd like to think it's intelligent to question things, wouldn't you?
Well, I'm going to use a prime example, right? Let's talk about religion for a minute. Right? Bible. People believe what they read in the Bible. Now, I've got nothing against religion. You know, if people can soul search through religion or whatever, or they find comfort in it, all well and good.
Yeah, if it's going to make you a better person than what you believe you can be. Yeah,
tells you so doesn't necessarily mean it's true.
No.
You know what I mean? Just because it was written by a group of people over the centuries with their own takes and stories.
Exactly.
And it's been interpreted, broken down, it's been rewritten over the years to control the masses.
Exactly. Just exactly like you said earlier about smoking. Nothing like what we're talking about, but cultures change things to suit the narrative, of that culture, to suit how people's progression with education and the way they view life. Things change, don't they?
Yeah.
So religion over the years, for you to come back and then say that religion hasn't changed over the course of history is just a load of bullshit, because we've got a New Testament and Old Testament in the time that we know, So there was years before that as well.
It's but same old scenario, mate. You going back to this. I'm going to use cults as an example because I've read a book on cults and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's an author that I quite like called Dr. Ha Ha Lung, and he's like mind control and the lost arts of war, and he's written a chapter on cults, and he said the biggest part of like when people are vulnerable, they either join a society, a cult, or anything, just to feel like they want to be part of a family, and it just doesn't happen in like religious organisation, clubs, even in the workplace.
Yeah.
Right now, what these leaders of these cults don't like is people asking questions. When they start when they can't give an answer to these questions to why they're doing all this, these people get tarnished as being non-believers.
Yeah.
And then they get forced out. And this is what I see in today's society.
Exactly.
Yeah, I do. I see that. And
exactly. I almost feel like you have to be sat on a side as well.
Yeah.
And that's in every sense. That's left, that's right, that's blue, that's red, that's fucking black, white, that's religion. You have to be sat on a fence somewhere. Why can't, and I feel like I am this. Why can't you just be nice, firmly in the middle? I don't strongly believe in everything, in anything, but I also don't disbelieve everything. You know what I mean? I'm just there. I love to take everything in. I love to learn.
I do, mate. I'm exactly the same as you. I like to know what is going on.
Go on.
We've mentioned this before numerous times in the podcast since we've been doing it. Find alternate means, different sources of information. Don't just be what you fed every day. There are different sources out there, and the more research it's like the rabbit hole thing again. You find how deep it actually goes.
Yeah, and I tell you what, mate. This is one thing I've heard it before. Is don't be a headline jockey. Don't jump on a headline, which is something I'm guilty for. Is share because you're not on Facebook. I'm on Facebook, so I'm guilty for sharing. Sometimes I do it on purpose a lot of the time. I like to provoke some sort of conversation, but sometimes you'll pluck a headline which you think, oh, that sounds good, but sometimes the headlines are headlines of headlines.
Yeah.
So the actual full story. This comes back to conspiracies again. The actual full story has been lost already. It's the headline, but people are quick to believe the initial thing without doing any research on it.
They are.
So don't jump on a headline. Do a little bit yourself.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, mate, entirely. And the information is there. You've just got to go and look for it. And it can be there in front of you. And I'm a big believer, mate, in seeing it with my own eyes. And hearing other. Like I said before on the podcast, I've said it numerous times, mate. There are two sides to a story. And there's
a few more.
And that's the thing. There's a lot of people out there nowadays. I've seen it in the celebrity world more recently that don't, because the media and governments and everybody is that powerful
Yeah.
They don't give these people they don't let them voice their side of
It's
it.
because this is my view on it. Is I feel like people are just, as societies, we're just so unstable, right? I even think this is where the word mainstream has come from.
Yeah.
We're so unstable that you need a mainstream. You know, like you don't. Some people don't want to hear these offshoots, these little rivers, and these little. You know, everybody wants to hear this mainstream. So it's like in every world of mainstream, so mainstream media, mainstream science, mainstream this, mainstream that. You know, it's like that is the narrative. So that is what everybody wants to hear. It's easy, and that's that. Everybody else who creeps around it and starts questioning it, that's when you're conspiracy theories, or that's when you're wrong. You know, I've said this before. I've said this name before. I follow a guy called Graham Hancock. I've said this before, and somebody commented on one of our videos. I love his theories because his theories are something that he's put, you know, his life's research into, 40, 50 years worth of research into, trying to challenge mainstream science.
Yeah.
And he says himself, the science community is dogma led. You know, it's dogma, stigma led. So anybody who challenges it, almost their careers get ruined. And some of these, and there's a lot of people that have genuinely been discredited, had their careers ruined, had all their funding stripped from universities and whatever, just because it didn't fit the mainstream narrative. And now, say 15, 20 years later, their research has now come to light, and actually it was right all along, you know.
Yeah. But what about all these people that have made a comment, like just not an offensive comment, but not kind of agreed with the narrative?
Yeah.
And have been like, that's it. They've been fired from their job. They've been asked to resign.
Because people just want the easy. People just want it easy. Like, why can't you offend people? How can you live life and not offend people?
They don't want them people. They want them out of the way, mate. They don't want trouble causers. Well, I'm not necessarily saying they are trouble causers. They're not. They're just people with an opinion. They're voicing.
They offend the narrative, mate. They don't suit the narrative. This is what really frustrates me is, you know, you can't go through life and not offend people. I walk through town and some people's faces offend me. I'm not going to stop and say your face is offending me, am I? It's just life. You get on with it. You know what I mean?
That's it. Like, you might have an opinion about it, but you don't target a particular person. You might just say, well,
people sit at home, right, and watch a TV program, and then after watching an hour-long TV program, they then ring up the BBC or ITV or Channel 4 or fuck it, I don't even know what's on at the minute. You know, every other Freeview channel in the world. They ring them up after and say that channel offended them. I'd ring them back and say, you've offended me by ringing up and say you was offended. Fuck off. Yeah. You know what I mean? And what? You've offended me. Yeah. And what?
Yeah.
So you've offended me of how idiotic you are. You know what I mean? Just turn your TV off.
Turn it off. Don't watch it. That's it.
Unless you turn the telly on and someone's outright chucking anti-religious, you know, the N-word, yeah, whatever you want.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then that you've got every right to shut that channel down or complain about it. But you know, I don't know, two blokes who kissed on telly. You know, people are complaining about that, or you know, somebody's just said something that's just slightly out of turn, or made a joke out of something. You know. Yeah, it offends me, Mark. It'll be on podcast soon. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
We'll be up there on the offensive list.
Oh, we will be, mate. Well, we'll be trolled, and yeah, like I say, if it offends you, don't watch it. Simple as. We said that, didn't we, on the podcast? You know, if you're easily offended. That looks like, for anybody who's going to be watching this, we're not actually sat side by side. Matt is facing me, and you look like you was giving me the finger then.
Hold on a minute. Fuck off. Which I think you might be that side. Fuck off. Hey, I think people get our gist though, don't they? Like, I don't know.
Right.
I love a good conspiracy as much as the next man, but I'm not naive and I'm not stupid. You know what I mean? Like, I can do my own research, so I know there's limits to everything. I just feel at this time right now, the time that we're in, 2020, with all this stuff, I think everybody has got a right to question it. You know, just to question things. You know, how can you not question it when all our government have ever done is Boris Johnson, Matt Hancock, whoever the bloody else gets up there? It just they don't know what to say themselves. So how can you take that in and be reassured?
We spoke about this earlier. I'm just going to look it up.
Yeah.
Right.
Talk to me.
Yeah. The Declaration of Human Rights. Okay, I've already got this in.
Mm-hmm.
Let me have a look. Right. 2-8, mate. Here we go. Oh, you disappeared. Where you gone?
Oh, yeah. I'm here.
Here he is. Invisible, mate. When just as you're sitting down, you like disappear. Half of you. I got an arm then.
It's when I go to make another cup of tea, mate. That's all.
Yeah. G&T.
Yeah.
Right, here we are. Article 19. Everyone has a right to a freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference.
Yeah.
And to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers.
Yeah.
That is the Universal Declaration, Article 19 of Human Rights, that was all agreed on in Paris in 1948.
Which is right now being impeached.
This is why because of all the atrocities that went on during the war.
Yeah.
Because like the German people lost, they were dictated to by Hitler.
Yeah.
Stalin, the same. This is why this was bought. And does that not apply nowadays? You keep disappearing. Where you go?
Yeah, I know, mate. I'm just doing magic. Yeah, it does apply today, right? And in a kind of in an opposing view to what we've just been talking about, it must be hard for societies, i.e., social media and stuff, because like basically social media is a weird platform because it's not like the media, which has been it's been part of our society for how many years? You know, hundreds of years. Social media has been a part of our society for maximum 30 years, hasn't it? 20, 30 years. You know, as it is today, as powerful it is today. So
it's got more powerful, definitely.
Yeah. So the mediating of free speech, fake news, conspiracy theories is down to the guys that run it.
Yeah.
You know, and these guys are just like Silicon Valley tech bosses, you know, Mark Zuckerberg and, you know, I don't know, not Jeff Bezos, bloody Amazon, any, but you know, the likes of them guys. These are the guys that are running this, that are policing this now. You know, they're not governments policing it, are they?
Tech overlords, tech dictators.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, what narrative do they run at? Are they far left? Are they far right? Are they in the middle? Are they non-biased? You know, so when you've got their mediators, you know, I think when people think that when they put something on Facebook, right, it goes through almost like a natural algorithm of what can go on and what can't go on. What people don't realize is they've got people in the Philippines, in poorer countries than our own, on very, very little, if not no money or hardly any money, mediating these social media platforms. So everything that gets typed up that flags up that might be offensive or anything, there's somebody in a room, you know, clicking, whether that's right, that's wrong, that's banned, that's not. You know, these are people doing this, which I think in my mind is just baffling. I find it in my mind it's baffling that it's not kind of run through the law. It's not. It's down to the opinions and the views of
But who
a tech giants narrative. You know.
who makes these laws up, mate? You've got all these corporations that are running these media platforms. You've got all these corporations that are tied, you know, in manufacturing that are tied to these platforms. Yeah. Who basically is watching? I'm going to use a quote from a film and a book. Who is watching The Watchmen? Who does?
I really don't know. Some seedy fucking little freak wanking in an office somewhere. You've got to be messed up to watch this world. You know what I mean? Huh?
With one of the tight tops on, what you was wearing last week.
A little blue titty top. Hey, you know what that reminded me? You ever seen Post Selector?
Yes.
It was. He did that Charmone Selector, the Michael Jackson special that Lee Francis come out and said he didn't like because he's another fucking PC wanker. But anyway, did you watch the Charmone Selector one?
I didn't, mate. I've heard of it. You've told me about it.
But basically, like every now and again, there'd be like little snippets where when Michael Jackson did something, someone else would talk about his life, but there'll be like celebrities talking about how they knew Michael Jackson. Mm. And one of them every time was Simon Cowell. And Simon Cowell, every time he came on, right, he had this top with little like saggy tits in it with bells on the end. And he said, I basically invented Michael Jackson. Every time he spoke, his tit bells went off. I was watching back, I almost wanted to edit some bells in it.
Oh dear, mate. Can you get that? He's probably been removed from YouTube.
No, can't be.
No, I'm sure we'll be able to. I'll have to have a look at that. But
it's a good old classic. I can't, you know, it's easy for, especially easy for a white person to say it's not offensive. But then I don't know, would a black person be offensive of Lee Francis, the whitest, gingerest man you've ever seen, just as Michael Jackson's Black Doctor? I don't know.
I told you to. I don't know whether it's still on Netflix. I had it on my watch list. I've seen it numerous times. I actually owned the video years ago. Eddie Murphy did a stand-up in, I think it was 1982, 1983. Just when he started becoming big, he just made 48 hours.
Yeah.
He did a stand-up on stage somewhere in California. I don't know where it was. Really, I'm just making that up.
Sounds good, doesn't it?
Sound good. Now, this stand-up, mate, if he did that today, he would get removed, right? But they show it on Netflix. Now, it's really funny.
Who was it again? Sorry.
Who
was it again?
Eddie Murphy, Delirious.
Yeah.
He covers everything, mate, from homosexuality to race to wife beating, to TV programs, family arguments at barbecues, and insulting the in-laws, alcoholism. Honestly, mate, he takes a mick out of Stevie Wonder in it.
You know what, mate? If you're going to be light-hearted and just having a laugh in life, it's too short.
It's funny. You watch it, you think, well, I don't get offended by it. Other people haven't. I mean, he even has a dig at Michael Jackson, how effeminate Michael Jackson is. And, I mean,
why can't you? So why can't you be a straight white male, right? Yeah. I'm not saying I do, because I'm completely, you know, I'm neutral in every situation, but be a straight white male and make some
bollocks now. Come on,
Lincoln Table viewers.
Yeah,
and just be and make some sort of comment about, you know, a man who wants to be a woman, or as long as you're not directly attacking these people, because to some people in their mind it's normal to be what they are. Yeah. Exactly the same as it is for the person in the other booths who
Yeah.
was born a male and 100% feels female, or the other way around, thinks that that's normal, Like, it's people's opinions and people's views and the way people grow up. People grow up, all they ever know is this sort of thing. So you can't say that's offensive. They're just not in the know of how you feel. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm completely wrong. I don't live in London, Mark. So
No, you're just expressing an opinion, and I don't find your opinion offensive, and nobody else should.
No.
At the end of the day, these other groups and majorities or minorities like to voice their opinion to us on how they want to be noticed and recognised. So why shouldn't we? At the end of the day, mate?
Because at the end of the day, I also think some of these opinions that are voiced by so-called minorities or people with different views, they're aimed at a minority of people like us. Because you're the same as me, and I'm pretty sure I work amongst, I work on building sites which have got the most, I would say.
Oh, we're all fucking Neanderthals, mate.
Yeah, and I couldn't say I've ever come across anybody that's racist.
I haven't.
Overly, I can't, I'd say even sexist. The lads that are on site would probably make jokes about their wives or women or do this, but ultimately they get home, mate, and they're fucking whipped. They get home and they do what the wife say. You know what I mean? It's just lads.
We're all under the fun, mate, and all
Exactly.
the women with trousers.
I'll be the first one to admit it.
Yeah, I am. I'm exactly the same.
I'll wash up after, baby. Yeah, don't worry.
I have to do as we're told.
Well, Mark.
But there we go, mate. But to be fair, I was actually brought up in a household. I lost my dad when I was quite young.
Yeah.
Surrounded by women, and like my grandma, my aunties, and back in them days, like the 60s, 50s, 40s, whatever. I wasn't born then, but I'm just using that example. Where women did everything in the house. They did all the housework, the cooking, the cleaning, everything. So it was all done for me. I was never encouraged to do that. It was all because they saw if a man did it, they made it look hard work, so it was easier for them.
Yeah.
Right. And I did have everything done for me, mate. I don't mind admitting that. And and my mum always said, "Oh yeah, well, it's my job. That's how I was brought up." But this sounds really sexist.
No, because I was the same. I grew up with my mum. I lived with my mum.
I had everything, mate. I was even taught to drive by my auntie. One of my aunties taught me because my dad wasn't about.
Yeah.
And when I got to my other half who I live with, she's like, "Your mum's got a fucking lot to answer for."
I was the same. Yeah. I always used to say to Steph, I said, I'd move back to my mum anytime. back to my wife. I'll move back to my mum anytime because when you got ill, she'd look after me, put me on the settee, make sure I'd had everything.
She's on toast. She's on toast when I was ill.
Maybe that's just mum-son bias. But yeah, so then to say that people with these sort of views are out of touch, I just think it's the wrong thing to say. I just think some people are just educated in a different way. Some people just brought in a completely different way,
Yeah.
There is more than two worlds on this planet. Even in this country, there's more than two worlds. People, yourself working on a building site. I meet people from a world that you couldn't even imagine. You know what I mean? So.
Is this why these groups are doing it? So they can divide and conquer. And if they all keep us divided, we're not
together.
So are we? If they're keeping one group satisfied, they're not going to have any issues off them, are they? And keeping another down because they're siding with that group. I think that's.
Never know, Mark. We can be optimistic.
We can.
Maybe one day in this world there'll be a one race world. You never know. we're all one. We're humans, aren't we?
Well, we are all the same species, mate, and that's. I hope we get it sorted out sooner rather than later.
Me too. Me
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Are we?
Anyway,
Cheers, mate. Are we calling that it today?
thanks to the Lincoln table. Is at Lincoln table. We're not a Lincoln table. We're at our own desks.
And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button.
Like, subscribe, share, comment now.
And make us famous.
Yeah. can do. Yeah, peace out.
Peace, mate. All the best. That was a good one.